back, everyone, to the Scoreboard. Happy Friday to you. Yes, you are listening to the Scoreboard here on WSIC, but do have to make a slight announcement for you. Today's episode was recorded earlier in the day. We are not live. This is a pre-recorded episode. Hopefully the information I'm giving you is not old news by the time you hear this, but you never know. It's sports. It changes very fast. I don't expect much to happen in between now and when you guys hear this, but you really never know. Like I said, it is the world of sports. Anyway, thank you for joining today. Happy Friday to everyone. It is Masters Week. Yes, it is Masters Week. Now that the NCAA tournament is ended, there are other NCAA tournaments going on, might I add. There's the Frozen Four, which is the NCAA Men's College Hockey Playoff. I don't know how many people watch the Frozen Four. If you're a fan of hockey, you probably do. You got plenty of games going on, though, in the hockey world. Denver's playing Western Michigan. You got Penn State playing UConn. A lot of good games that are coming up this weekend, coming up today. Penn State plays Boston later on tonight in semifinal number 2. I mean, it's going to be a great week for sports in general. So the Masters is going on. I don't have too many updates for you. A lot of people are still out there. Nobody's really finished yet. It is still early in the day. We'll be able to talk more about the Masters next week, talk about who wins, who looked good, how those LIV guys performed. Remember, when you get to these major tournaments, the LIV golf players are allowed to participate. That is something that has been ongoing between the PGA and the LIV Tour and what can and can't these players participate in. But they are allowed to participate in the Masters because it's a major tournament. So that's going on right now from Augusta National. Like I said, next week when we're back on air, we'll tell you who won, go over all of that. We had the end of the NCAA basketball tournament. March Madness came to an end over the weekend. Monday night, the championship game between Houston and Florida. Florida coming out victorious. The Gators. You got to do the Gator clap, right? Yeah, there you go, Florida. Congratulations to Florida. They beat the number 1 overall seed in the semifinals in Auburn to go to the championship game, and then they took down Houston. Now, Houston was in there because of what I'm going to call generational collapse by Duke. I was watching this game. Now, first of all, this past weekend, I was in Georgia, Tybee Island. I don't know if anybody knows where that is. This is my buddy's bachelor party, so we were having a good time down there, and we were watching the Duke and Houston game at a bar. And it was funny because, and I thought I'd tell you guys this story just because it's a little comical. There was a live band there, live performance. It was a blues band. They were great. But with like a minute and a half to go in the Duke-Houston game, the band stopped mid-song. They stopped playing, and everybody's staring at the TVs in the bar. And there's a timeout. And there's a review. And then there's a timeout. And like 10 seconds had gone off the clock in 20 minutes. And the band goes, we're just going to keep playing because the end of this basketball game might take 3 hours. And it really felt like that at the time. Excuse me. This is something that I've talked about quite a bit when it comes to basketball and the end of the game and these teams that still have 2 timeouts in their pocket with a minute and a half to go. The officials, they want to review every little out of bounds to make sure they got it correct. They want to review every little stoppage to make sure the correct time is on the clock. And it just takes away from the flow of the end of a basketball game. And I don't know necessarily if that is why Duke ended up losing. I would say probably not. to be honest with you. They did have control of that game. But when you don't score and you can't get any free throws and you're turning the ball over in the final 30 seconds, allowing three-pointers, what are you really going to do if you're Duke? I mean, there was plenty of chances for Duke to take control and win this game. And I'm looking at the end of game, how it went right here. Cooper Flagg made some free throws to make it a 7-point game, right? And then it was free throws back and forth. With 33 seconds left, Emmanuel Sharp of Houston made a three to cut the lead 2-3. Houston then calls a timeout, and then Duke turns it over. You had a missed three, and then you had the put back dunk on that missed three. You get a foul going the other way. Tyrese Proctor missed his free throw. Houston did not miss their free throws. And then Cooper Flagg missed the game-winning shot. That was very surprising to me. It wasn't like the craziest comeback I've ever seen in an NCAA game. It was a good comeback, don't get me wrong, but it was more of a collapse on Duke's part. I mean, you get the missed jumper from Cooper Flagg with about 10 seconds to go, and you don't get the foul until 3 seconds to go in the game. So for 7 seconds, Duke was unable to foul. That's not good. The other thing that I took away from this Duke-Houston game was Cooper Flagg is a very good basketball player. He is. He probably would tell you that he should have made that final shot attempt. And for a game-winning shot, that's about as good of a look as you're going to get from the free throw line. A little bit of a fadeaway, but he left it short. He hit the front iron and doesn't get the roll. I don't know if we are just trying really hard to crown the next great basketball player. We did it with Zion a few years ago, and look how that's turned out. We're doing it now with Cooper Flagg. Hopefully it doesn't turn out the same as Zion, but I do want to caution the general public. We got to stop crowning the next best thing before they show us if they are or are not great. Cooper Flagg is a very good player. Does he have the clutch gene? From what we've seen, maybe not. Maybe not. But he's going to be the number one overall pick regardless. I don't think there's a question about that. We'll see what he can do in the NBA. We're going to go to our first commercial break of the day. When we come back, we'll get you ready for some NBA and NHL playoffs. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this. On the Scoreboard segment 2 here. A reminder, today's episode was recorded earlier in the day. Unfortunately, that means there will be no phone calls today. I do apologize about that, but nonetheless, we are here in studio recording a new episode of the Scoreboard for you lovely listeners. We just got done talking about the NCAA March Madness tournament. It was a lackluster tournament. I wasn't that impressed with it this year. And, you know, the basketball that was being played was sloppy at times. There was a lot of sloppy basketball being played, but that's what happens when everybody wants to shoot a three, right? You get the guys that can't shoot threes shooting threes. Anyway, we're going to move on now. We're going to stay in the basketball realm for a little bit. Talk about the NBA playoff push that we are on right now. We don't have many games remaining in the season. The play-in tournament begins on April 15th. Right now, in the Eastern Conference, the teams that are going to the playoffs are the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, The New York Knicks, the Indiana Pacers, Milwaukee Bucks, and Detroit Pistons. Here's the thing about Detroit. They were worse. They were, yes, worse than the Hornets last year. And they figured out how to rebuild. They figured it out. And they are in the playoffs. You know what team isn't in the playoffs ever? Those Hornets, yeah. Yeah, you got it right. So congratulations, Detroit. They have battled and gotten themselves into a playoff position. I didn't expect that this year. I really didn't. But right now, as it stands, the Pistons would face off against the New York Knicks. That'd be an interesting matchup. Going into the play-in tournament here, there's only one team still able to get out of the playoff tournament or play-in tournament and into the actual playoffs, and that's the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic are 40-40, which means everybody behind them that's going to be in the play-in tournament is below 500, which, to be honest, typical of the Eastern Conference in the NBA recently. The East has been terrible. There's really only a few teams out of the East that you could say are contenders, and I would say that's Cleveland, Boston, and New York. I don't believe Indiana is going to be much to fight. The Bucks, they have injury problems. They're not the same team it was now. They do still have Giannis, and that could be an X factor for you. But I just don't see them as a threat. Orlando, Atlanta, Chicago, and Miami right now are the play-in teams. Nobody is able to fall out of the play-in tournament. So it's just a matter of who's going to be playing who and where will they be playing. In the West, it's a little bit of a different story. The Oklahoma City Thunder dominated the West. They went 66-14 as of the recording of this episode, and they are 14. Yes, you heard that correctly. 14 games ahead of the Houston Rockets, who are second in the West. Then you have the LA Lakers, who a little bit of a resurgence this year. One thing that's interesting about the Lakers, when you look at the team that they have, they went 30-10 at home, only 19-21 on the road. The good news, though, for the Lakers is they're right now in the 3 seed. They will have home court advantage, and they would play the Grizzlies. Rounding out the rest of the Western Conference and what teams are in the playoffs, that would be the Denver Nuggets in 4th, Clippers 5th, and Memphis Grizzlies 6th. The play-in tournament is not yet finalized. The Nuggets, Clippers, and Grizzlies could all fall out of the playoffs and into the play-in tournament. But as of right now, you have the Golden State Warriors, the Minnesota Timberwolves in the play-in tournament. Those two teams do have the ability to get out of the play-in tournament and get into the actual playoffs. Sacramento and Dallas are the two teams that are 9th and 10th right now. They're in the play-in tournament. They cannot fall out of the play-in tournament, and they cannot get into the playoffs. One team that I kept an eye on a lot this year were the Phoenix Suns. Man, when was the last time you heard Kevin Durant's name? Probably the Olympics, right? Yeah, the Suns were not good this year. 35-45, that was pretty bad. Actually, that was so bad that even if they were in the East, they would be out of the playoffs. And we just talked about how many Eastern Conference teams have losing records and are still going to be competing for a playoff spot. I mean, it's just the discrepancy between the East and the West right now. But for the Suns, man, that's tough. That is really tough. As of today, okay, this is as of today. In the West, the Nuggets would play the Clippers. The Lakers would play the Grizzlies. That is the playoff bracket. The play-in tournament in the West, the Warriors and the Timberwolves, the Kings and the Mavericks. Now, the game between the Warriors and the Timberwolves, the winner moves on to play the 2-seed Houston Rockets. The loser moves on to play the winner of the Kings and the Mavericks. And then the winner of that final game moves on to play the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game tournament. Or a 7-game playoff, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it a tournament for now. Why not? In the East, the 4-seed Pacers would play the 5-seed Bucks. The 3-seed Knicks would play the 6-seed Pistons. That is the play-off. The play-in, the 7 and 8 seeds are the Magic and the Hawks. The winner of that game moves on to play the Celtics. The loser will play the winner of the 9 and 10 game, which would be the Bulls and the Heat. Then the winner of that consolation game moves on to play the number 1 seed in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. There's a lot of parity in the NBA this year, a lot more than recent years, in my opinion. You have teams like the Pistons who were able to overcome just poor management over the last few years. You got the Bulls making their way back in, the Thunder in the West, showing that they are rebuilt, they are ready to go. Houston as well, showing that they did a quick turnaround on their rebuild. They are ready to go. You also have a team like Cleveland in the East, who I personally can't tell you the last time that Cleveland has been good in my lifetime without LeBron James. I don't think it's ever happened, to be honest with you. But you have a lot of parity in the NBA right now, and it's great to see. I love seeing new teams in the playoffs because you got to think about who was there last year, and some of those teams weren't there last year. Now, there's only a few games remaining in the season, and there are some games still yet to be played. But for the most part, we're at the end of the season. And on Saturday, games stop. I believe it's just the one day where nobody's going to be playing. Sunday, the 13th, will be the last day of the regular season. Pretty much most of your teams are going to be playing. There's a lot of teams that are slated to play on Sunday. But a reminder, no games coming up on Saturday in the NBA. The final day of the regular season in the NBA is on Sunday. We will then begin the play-in tournament on Tuesday. And we'll play one game in the East, one game in the West on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, it'll be the same thing. One game in the East, one game in the West. There's going to be a day off on Thursday, the 17th. And then on Friday, it's that final chance for the winner to get the 8 seed in the East and the West brackets. So we have about a week for some of these teams that are going to be resting with nothing to do if you make the playoff. It's going to be about a week off, which is good and bad. And I've talked about this before. You get time to rest people, heal some injuries that may have been nagging you over the end of the regular season. But also at the same time, you're now out of the flow of what you normally do, which is games every other day, every 2 games, sometimes back to back. But now you have a whole week off. The rhythm might be gone for some of these teams. Now, I'm not expecting a play-in team to win if they get into the playoffs and beat the 1 seed or beat the 2 seed. I'm really not expecting that, but it is possible. And you really never know when you have these teams that have been resting versus other teams who have been playing and who have been fighting for their lives for weeks now. We're going to go to our next commercial break. When we come back, we'll move on from the basketball topic. I want to get into a little NHL talk as the hockey season is coming to a close as well. Playoffs will begin soon in the NHL as well. And then we'll end up the show today talking a little bit of NASCAR. So don't go anywhere. We're back after this. back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Scoreboard, proudly presented by the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos. Get out to a game coming up this summer down in Huntersville. I will be at a few games, I promise, so maybe you'll see me down there. But thanks to the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos for presenting the Scoreboard to you today. A reminder, today's episode was recorded earlier. It is not live, so some of the information may be a little bit old, something could have changed. You never know. It's sports. It's always a changing landscape. I try to make that disclaimer before every pre-recorded show that we do here on the Scoreboard. Right now, we're going to get into the NHL, and the biggest news of all, Alexander Ovechkin, goal scorer for the Washington Capitals, scored his 895th goal on Sunday at UBS Arena to become the single greatest goal scorer in NHL history, passing the great one, Wayne Gretzky, who scored 894 goals in his illustrious career. And I think the debate is going to continue between who's the best in their respective sport. I've heard this quite a bit between Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky, or Ovechkin and LeBron. I don't think anybody's ever going to take Wayne Gretzky down from the pedestal he's on in the NHL. The all-time points scoring is never going to be broken. Kind of like how in the NBA, I don't believe anybody's ever going to get to LeBron's scoring record. You'd have to be in the NBA for a long time, and you'd have to be really good for a really long time to break the LeBron James scoring record. I kind of hold those two akin to each other. But Alex Ovechkin against the Islanders on Sunday scores goal number 895, putting him atop the NHL leaderboard for all-time goals in a career. Congratulations to Alex Ovechkin. His season is not over. He has a few games remaining on the schedule. And not only that, you may have noticed the number that I said being 895. It's awfully close. It's awfully close to 900. Now, Alex Ovechkin is, as of right now in this season, he is 39 years old. He's getting up there in age for an athlete. I'd have a hard time if I'm Ovechkin. Now, this is me personally. I would have a hard time retiring anytime soon. He scored over 40 goals this year. If he does that for the next 3 seasons, he'll be over 1,000 career goals in the NHL. I'm sticking around to get to 1K. That's me personally. Obviously, he's going to stick around to get to 900. I mean, there's only a few games left of the season for Washington. I don't know if Ovechkin has a chance to get it this year, but there are 5 games remaining in the season. They have the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets twice on a home and home, the Islanders again, and then they end in Pittsburgh. And those last 2 games between the Islanders and the Penguins, those are both going to be on ESPN. So if Ovechkin scores a goal every game, he'll end the regular season this year with 900 even. That means he just needs 2 50-goal seasons to get to 1,000. I think he'll do it. I think he'll get to 1,000. I don't think it'll be in 2 seasons. Let me get that clear. But I do believe that he'll stick around to get to 1,000 career goals. Like I said, I would. Might as well. Unless you come back next year and you only put 15 goals in the back of the net, maybe then you can hang it up right then. Don't even come back for another year. You got 900 goals. You got your Stanley Cup. Walk off into the sunset knowing that you're the all-time goal leader in the NHL. What better thing could you want? I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer, not even a question. He has the greatest goal that you will ever see in the NHL, and it was in Arizona. From his back, he just moved the stick I don't even know how he did it, but the puck ended up in the back of the net. One of the greatest goals I've ever seen in the NHL. Not because, oh my God, he dangled around 5 people. Rick Nash probably has that. I mean, Rick Nash has a beautiful goal, but Ovechkin falling down on the ice with his back to everyone, just flinging his stick, and it hits the puck and it goes in the net. First ballot Hall of Famer right there. Around the rest of the NHL, we started to whittle down the competition as to who is and who is not going to be in the playoffs this year. As of right now, let's go over the Metropolitan Conference, the Metropolitan Division. As we just talked about, the Washington Capitals having a great year. They are atop the Metro. Second with 96 points right now and still 5 games remaining on the season are the Carolina Hurricanes. Third in the Metro are the New Jersey Devils. Now, I will say that is a lock. That cannot change. The Carolina Hurricanes will be playing the New Jersey Devils in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It could still go to New Jersey, but Carolina would have to lose the rest of their games, and New Jersey would have to win the rest of their games. So most likely, Carolina will have home ice advantage in round 1 of the playoffs. We already know they'll be playing the New Jersey Devils. The Atlantic Division in the Eastern Conference, Toronto Maple Leafs leading that, followed by the Tampa Bay Lightning and your defending Cup winners, the Florida Panthers. Nothing is set in stone there. Then you go to your wild card teams, and the Ottawa Senators with 90 points are locked into the playoffs. Now, they can still jump into the 3 spot in the Atlantic, so they're not quite stuck as a wild card team, but more than likely they will be the number 1 wild card team. The number 2 wild card team right now are the Montreal Canadiens. Their magic number is 1. In the final 4 games of the season for Montreal, they need 1 point. They need to go to overtime in order to clinch a playoff spot. And what a time to have a 6-game winning streak. That is what Montreal has done over their past 6 games, putting 6 games in a row where they get 2 points. That's projected them to a nice 8-point lead over the Detroit Red Wings. It looks like they are going to make the playoffs, will Montreal. Detroit, New York, and Columbus. Actually, there's a few more here. The Detroit Red Wings, the New York Islanders, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the New York Rangers are all outside looking in with 79 points. The Rangers fell apart. Kind of like the Yankees fell apart in the World Series, except the Rangers fell apart in the regular season. They were in the playoff spot, and then they decided to lose 3 games in a row. 4 of their last 5. They've got like 2 power play goals in their past 80 attempts. It's awful. It's horrible. I'm sad. The New York Rangers, the President Trophy winners from last year, the best team in the regular season from last year, bringing back a majority of the same exact players. They missed the playoffs. Same coach, same players, and they missed the playoffs. The New York Rangers were awful this year. They had one of the worst power plays in the league, one of the reasons that they are in the spot that they are in now. Go Hurricanes. I tell you guys all the time, Hurricanes are my team when the Rangers aren't in it. So go Hurricanes. Beat the Devils. Please beat the Devils. The Stanley Cup playoffs will begin shortly. We're only a few weeks away. Now, I believe the NBA playoffs are going to begin before the NHL because we do have the play-in tournament, but then both playoffs should be going on about the same time. We're going to head to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll get you caught up on NASCAR. Don't go anywhere. We're back after this. welcome back to the Scoreboard. Final segment here on the program today. Another reminder to you, today's episode was recorded earlier. It is not live, but it is updated information for you. This is a new episode of the Scoreboard. A big thank you to the Lake Norman Harbor Hippos for being a proud sponsor of the Scoreboard. Go out to Huntersville and check them out. Collegiate baseball summer league should be a lot of fun. I will be there throwing a first pitch. I will be throwing a first pitch later in June, so we'll have that for you. That should be a fun time. I'm telling you that right now. That'll be a fun time. Anyway, we're in our final segment here on the Scoreboard. I wanted to catch up on some NASCAR talk. We haven't done much of it over the past couple of weeks, and we are getting through the regular season here. Last weekend at Darlington, Denny Hamlin was the benefit of a late race caution. The damaged vehicle policy came back up to rear its ugly head, and we had a win taken away from someone. So that was definitely interesting. It looked like Ryan Blaney was going to run away with that race, but caution comes out. Bad pit stop, good pit stop for Denny Hamlin. And on a green-white checker, you're probably not going to pass at Darlington in these cars. That's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, but that is just the way it is. So Denny Hamlin, your winner at Darlington. William Byron swept the stages and led over 200 laps in this race, but he did not secure the win. It actually got so close to him leading every single lap that at one point they showed the graphic of the last time somebody has led every single lap in a NASCAR Cup Series race. And in case you didn't know, it was 2000 over in New Hampshire. Jeff Burton won that race. And I don't even want to count that one as a real race, because back in that year, we had a couple of incidents at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's a 1 mile track. I believe it's a 1 mile track. We had some drivers, unfortunately, suffer some injuries. Some drivers, unfortunately, lost their life at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And NASCAR decided to put restrictor plates on the cars. There was no passing. You thought now there's no passing. No, there was no passing. So I don't even want to count that race. But in case you were wondering, that is the last time somebody led every single lap of a NASCAR Cup Series race. The Cup Series heads to Bristol this weekend for the Food City 500. 3 o'clock will be the start time of that one. You can catch all the action right here on WSIC with coverage beginning at 2 p.m. And it seems like NASCAR is pretty happy with this 3 o'clock in the afternoon start. I don't know why. I don't like it. Either start at 1 o'clock or start at 5 o'clock in prime time. 3 o'clock is just a very weird time to start, in my opinion. At least if you start later in the day, you get a little bit of a day-to-night transition. It looks beautiful. Now, you're not going to get the day-to-night that you get in the night race at Bristol. But still, Bristol's a track that deserves to be raced under the lights. That's just my opinion of it. So the Food City 500 will be this weekend, Sunday, 3 o'clock. You also have Craftsman Truck Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Both of those are going to be at Bristol as well. The truck race Friday, the Xfinity race Saturday, and boy, tune into that Xfinity race if you like bad driving. And the truck race, honestly. And then, like I said, the Cup Series on Sunday. And we didn't talk much about the Xfinity Series at Martinsville. I think a lot of people have given their opinions on this. I don't really have much to add to it other than it is embarrassing when you see that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Martinsville in the Xfinity Series turned into a demolition derby. We basically had almost Austin Dillon 2.0. Almost. I mean, you had Sammy Smith come from 8 lengths back Exaggeration, obviously, to just punt the leader out of the way and chaos behind him. And Austin Hill ended up winning. It was crazy. It was definitely an interesting one. But man, that was an embarrassing race. Not clean, that's for sure. Definitely not clean. Looking at the regular season standings for the NASCAR Cup Series, right now, William Byron has a 49-point lead over second place Denny Hamlin and third place Christopher Bell. Now you'll notice behind William Byron, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, both Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. The other Joe Gibbs drivers, they haven't been doing all that great recently. Ty Gibbs currently sitting 26th in points. Chase Briscoe currently 14th in points. And he's technically in the playoffs right now. Josh Berry is 20th in points, but he gets an automatic bid because he won a race. So that knocks AJ Allmendinger, number 16, out of the playoffs. It's a little early, in my opinion, to be considering the playoffs and the seedings and who's going to be where and who's on the bubble. It's a little early for that. We do have a long time left in the regular season. But nonetheless, once you're a good 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 races into the year, it's going to get harder to move up in the points if you're not already near the top. So that's how things shake out in the NASCAR Cup Series. A lot of other things going on in the world of sports. We have the Browns in the news because of their positioning in the draft, their situation with their quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who re-tore his right Achilles. Remember that. He re-tore his right Achilles. And I believe that the Browns upper management put out a memo recently saying, yeah, we messed up. This is on us. We're going to have to dig our way out of it. The Browns, will they take a quarterback in the draft? By the way, the draft is this month. The NFL draft is coming up, in case you were unaware, up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Yeah, Green Bay is the draft. 14 days, exactly 2 weeks from today, the NFL draft will be taking place. What do the Panthers do? Like I've said, and this is, what I've been saying, they just need to take the best player available. As long as it's not a quarterback, just take the best player on the board. Whatever you have as the number one guy on your board, take him because you need help. Now, I do think the Panthers can turn it around. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year. But, yeah, just take best available. That's about all I have to say about that. We are coming up on the end of the program here today. We didn't get into the MLB all that much. I want to do that next week. The MLB has a little bit of storylines. There weren't many rule changes this year. They tried the ball strike challenge system in spring training. The biggest difference is this thing called the torpedo bat. Have you heard of the torpedo bat? Makes a lot of sense to me. We'll talk about the torpedo bat next week. But right now, on this day in sports history, let's go with the most recent one that looks good here. On this day, 2022, Scotty Scheffler wins his first career major as he wins at Augusta National. He is the number one golfer in the world. That was on this day, 2022. It was on this day in 2005 that Tiger Woods won his fourth green jacket on hole one of a playoff with Chris DeMarco. That was in 2005 with Tiger Woods getting another Masters. 1991, Wayne Gretzky scores an NHL record. Of course he did. The 93rd playoff goal of his career. And he no longer holds the all-time goal record, just a reminder. 1913, the New York Highlanders play the first MLB game as the New York Yankees. They lost to the Washington Senators 2-1. President Woodrow Wilson threw out the first pitch in that ball game. And let's see, what's the oldest thing that I have? Here we go. British Open men's golf, Musselburgh Links. Mungo Park wins by 2 strokes to get his first title. Mungo Park. That's a hell of a name. Thanks everyone for tuning into the Scoreboard today. I hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, see ya.